thinking. I don't know about y'all. It limits my thinking and my lifestyle. So everything was great. The baby had a little issue breathing. She was breathing. She just wasn't breathing to what they wanted. She was just having a little trouble transition. I was watching the whole time. And they said, we're going to give her a little oxygen. I was like, okay, cool. No problem. I get it. So that was good. We got baby home, so we're good. And everybody, thank y'all for the food. I'm going to tell you, I don't even know where time would be cut out to cook. I'm going to be honest. Like when she said, I was thinking, oh gosh, it's 7:00. We haven't even eaten. Do we thaw something out? Our mind had not even crossed that line yet. So from 2 to 3, just a little different. We are overrun with responsibility. And it's good because we are moving, right? If you got little kids, you are moving. You're not thinking about me at all. This morning, I was like, who do I cook breakfast for? Okay, we got this one, and this one. Okay, what do they want? Let's get this going. And I was like, this is really cool. I really like this. But, the thought of dying is not great. But when you're dying, it is great. It feels good. And I'm not a feeling, but the feeling of you putting others first is a good feeling. Knowing that I'm not thinking about me. I am resting in Jesus. He got me. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to jump way off of that for a second. So David said earlier, Jonah. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking, my life was Jonah. And it's like a picture came open and showed like how I was Jonah for so long, even in the first book that I wrote, it talks about Jonah. I ran 100% away from the Lord because I was afraid of how real he was and how I would have to give up a lot of my life. I knew I didn't even have to read a track. I knew that I was going to have to give up all the things I liked. I was going to have to begin to sacrifice a lot of things. I just didn't know what I was going to get in return. I didn't even think about it. I just knew I was going to have to give up all these things they were my precious, it was my comfy stuff. But what you get in return is like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Like the family that you get, the encouragement, the peace. You give up paranoia for peace. If you've ever been paranoid, like I was, is that the FBI? That car keeps sitting out there. Oh, man, I need to go to sleep. I don't know if y'all have ever done that. But the paranoia is terrible. And you give that up for peace. So that doesn't even compute. And they're like, you would have to be the worst salesman in the world. Here, give me that paranoia, I'll give you peace. Oh, yeah, duh. I'll take that. So I thought about that whole story, like I didn't want to do anything with the Lord. And I ran as hard as I could. I don't know if y'all ever ran from the Lord. I know a few of y'all have. And it's a real job. It's a real job. It's 24 hours a day. It's like running from your neighbor. Essentially you come home and your neighbor's next door, right? You just can't get away. The thing about God is he speaks to you while you're sleeping. This is terrible, right? You can't even get away in your sleep. You're not even moving. You're not even actively trying to think, oh, okay, this is how I'll get away. I think at my worst, I seen some church people and I was hiding in Walmart in a clothes aisle. And I seen them and I was like, oh, they're going to run up and say, hey, man, we miss you. We love you, man. I'm hiding in the clothes thing. And I'm like, I'm 6'4", and I'm hiding in there. I'm like, I hope they don't look over here for like a swimsuit or something. Because that's going to be weird, right? Because they're going to be like, oh, you're not doing so good. What are you hiding in Walmart for? So this whole hiding and running from God, it just didn't work. So eventually you run too long, right? and he tells you, hey, you can either just give it up, or I'm going to make sure I get it from you. And I was like, well, okay. Let me just do one last run. I got one more in me, right? Well, this last run was a big run. So, of course, I go to jail, because, if you've ever done anything stupid, you go to the top. So, my Jonah story is I didn't get swallowed up by a whale. I got swallowed up by a jail. Right? Right? I'd rather been in the whale, man, just smelling stuff. And I stayed there for a while. And I had a lot of time to think. And what I thought about the Jonah story is the whale went deep down, right? Well, while I was in jail, the Lord went deep down in me. And he said, since you were young, I was after you. All I wanted to do was love you. And kind of what I got is why are you running from these arms? That's what you're running from, are these arms. They just want to hold you. Well, I didn't see that picture in church. I seen a picture if we were watching a ballerina movie with my little girl, and it talks about how you have to be so perfect. You can't even make one mistake in the ballet. But with the Lord, you can make a mistake. You don't have to be perfect. It's not about that, He's the one that set that up. Jesus is the one that walked perfectly, right? And he made a way for us. That's the weirdest thing to me, is he came for us in the flesh. And I'm thinking to myself, like in discipleship class, we hear, out of all the ways that it could have been done, he literally martyred his own self so we could see the way. That, to me, I understand sacrifice, but I have kids, and some of y'all have kids. Just imagine giving your child away for people that don't even want them. I can't even, my human mind can't even wrap around. I don't even understand that. So I stayed there for a while, right? And I was like, okay, Lord, I got it. He was like, no, you're going to be there another month. And I was like, dang, this is terrible, If you've ever been behind a door and all you have is a window this big to see out of, it's terrible. You're there for a long time. But it saved my life. It saved my life. And the longer I stayed, the more I hated it. But when I got out, he knew that I would run again. Isn't that crazy? He knew he is going to leave here saying all this stuff, right? He's going to have the Christianese talk. Yeah, I'm ready, God. Let's go. Yep, you're not. You're going to run again. No way, right? Peter didn't do that, did he? I'm a Peter. I'm a Jonah. I mean, you can line them up. I've probably been every one of them. All of them. At some point, some season. And he still continues to come and say, hey, let's go. Let's get going. Right? Pastor Brad, that's what he tells us. He just gets his staff. Come on. Let's get going. What? If you're just sitting around, I'm just waiting on God. Yep. He just whopping you around trying to get you going. So I ran again, and I don't even know how he saved me from that. I really don't even understand that. I'm afraid to tell that story in public sometimes because, you would think that your police enforcement out there would not let people that are drinking and driving go, right? That's not very popular. But the Lord is after people's hearts, All these people that we look at on TV, KSLA News, God's after them. He is after their heart. And most of them are running. And if you looked them in the eyes and said, honey, come home, bam, they're going to cry. Maybe they got arrested for a machine gun, but they're just scared. They're just trying to defend. They're trying to let them know, I am so scared inside. I have this big gun because I want people to think I'm bad, and I don't want God to come after me. But he's after them. When I was in there and they would have somebody come and speak, they would weep. These guys are mean. But when that guy would come and speak, they would weep. God would be shaking them. Maybe men can't get through to them, but God gets right inside that heart and directs them and says, go here, go there. So that has nothing to do with my message, but hopefully it was good. That's Lagniappe, right? Louisiana. So a couple of weeks ago, I heard this statement. I was watching Pastor David preach, and I was listening, and I heard this statement. It's a military term, really. If you've ever been in the military, you would know what this is. All gave some gave all. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, essentially what that means is everybody gave something. Some people, they gave up their comfort. They got in their car and they drove to church and they assembled. Some people gave 2 hours before that person gets up. They came, made the coffee. They swept off all the leaves on the mat. Everybody was given what they had. That's how Jesus is put together. All gave something. Maybe somebody, they had moved years ago just because God told them to come. And it puts all these people together. And they're like, how do these people assemble? Well, God's assembled them people, because we didn't go on the corner this morning with a megaphone. Hey, pull in here. If you don't pull in here, we're going to flatten your tire, You know what I mean? Everybody came because that's what they were supposed to do. And in the military or, in the police force or the fire force, everybody's given a level. There are guys that go in first. They are giving all. They are willing to lay their life down for these guys behind them. And this is an interesting thing. They're not only not thinking about themselves, they're totally thinking about everybody miles away that this threat or this incident could affect. And they're minimizing this. So these people that they will never meet would be affected. So kind of like the Father did that for us, he sent his Son so he could take care of this incident that was going to affect all of humanity going forward. And so I think about that, and I think about how awesome it is when people help each other. When food was being dropped off at our house, and I was like, we are literally being a family. I mean, that food was great. I am a picky person. I am a picky eater. I still eat mustard and ketchup on my hamburger. That man right there knows that I've been doing that since I was 5 years old. I have not changed. I am very routine. I am an Abraham all over again. I am so routine. My routine got broke up the other day again with the coffee maker. The coffee maker breaks. This has been faithful coffee maker for 11 years, right? And I'm like, my precious, it's gone. But it got replaced. So it's a good thing, though. But it's all working for the good, right? He's helping you overcome things, fears, things in your mind that maybe you limit yourself. He's helping me at 2 a.m. Stay awake, feed the baby, make sure the baby don't choke. I'm like, Lord, I need sleep. He's like, no, you got to feed the baby. Help your wife. So every one of us are going through something. We're giving something. But this go round, just being with the baby, I want to give more this time. I know the first baby, I woke up some, and sometimes I just didn't. but there's kind of like a level that she needs from me that I've never given as a husband. And I'm having to cook, and I haven't had to cook in the past, I mean, she's Italian, so she cooks good food, good food. And in my mind, right, here's where the Lord is helping me. Don't compare who's doing more. Just die together. There was an old marriage book. It was old. I mean, I think it was like made in 1970. I let somebody borrow it and they never gave it back. But the first page, it's so good. It's so challenging. The first page says, marriage is designed for both people to die together. If one chooses not to die, the marriage will eventually fail because you have one person that's elevated over the other person. And I was like, close the book. Give it away. But it's true. If both people are willing to die, if 10 people are willing to die for each other, I mean, they are grafted in. I think I talked about my cousin a couple of weeks ago that's in the military, just retired from the Navy, 20 years. And he talked about how close their SEAL team, and Pastor Brad knows this too, how close they are. When they're deployed, when they're on a ship, their families are hanging out and with the kids. And that's a great sacrifice. That's kind of hard. Everybody's got their own calendar, but everybody's doing something. They're all, and it makes this bond that is, I don't know, it's just different. It's just so different. When your spirit and your natural person are tied together, there is a connection. I can't even explain it. The people that walked with me through my Jonah years, through all the other years, there is a connection there, a bond that will never, you just couldn't even separate it. We could not talk for years. And when we see each other, man, it's so good to see you. Man, it like enriches your life. And I think that's the fellowship in the Word. It talks about that the Lord pours oil on that. And I don't even know the scripture. It's somewhere in Isaiah, I think. There it is. Yeah, or Psalm. Yep. So I just, man, I love that. And I see that here. But I know before I left here, we were really tight-knit, We were probably too tight-knit, right? We were like, if you ain't here on Thursday, you're in sin, right? That's a little too tight-knit, right? But, we were so hungry for something. We were hungry for good life. All we had known was bad. Most of them people, all they knew was drugs, alcohol, and destruction. That was it. And, I think everybody yearns for that community, So anyways, I had some scriptures, because that always makes things just so interesting. It really does. And I actually got this scripture from my little girl's coloring. She colored this picture at church. And what I think is funny is the Lord can speak to anything, right? I was fixing to throw it away, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cute," because if you've got two kids that are really not watched very closely, they'll color on anything, and they leave everything out, and there's makeup everywhere. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I am OCD, and I'm like, my OCD is having to die, and I don't want to let that one go. That is attached to my control, right? Right? I don't know about y'all. I'm like, we got to clean that. Okay, never mind. Maybe we don't have to clean the house so much. Okay, maybe, right? You have to start letting all these things go, right? And then you have to go to another level of maturity, right? Right? Okay. I don't know about y'all, but that's where it is. All right, so this is Mark. Hold on. I think it's a little further down. It is, John 13, 1 through 17. So I was reading this on this piece of paper as the Lord was meddling in my heart. It says, before the Passover celebration, yep, we're going to have to put these on, sorry. When my military haircut goes, the glasses, okay? All right, so Jesus knew that his hour had come to leave this world and return to his Father. He had loved his disciples during his ministry on earth, and now that he loved them to the very end, it was time for supper, and the devil had already prompted Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, he took off his robe and wrapped a towel around his waist and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around them. So right now, that would be like Pastor David standing up saying, okay, all right, this right here, this horse trough right here, we're going to put some water in it, and we're going to wash everybody's feet right now. That would be a little awkward, right? Because I would be like, did I shower last night? What do my socks match? I think my socks are inside out right now currently. So, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of like, oh, it's going to be meddling. But it's what he sees fit to do, to serve, right? Because he came and you would think he could totally just walk out on the scene. I'm Jesus, right? You do it way better. I'm Jesus. But he came to serve. And when you wash somebody's feet, that's pretty intimate. When you cut somebody's hair, that's pretty intimate, right? You're serving them at a pretty high level. This lady that was cutting my hair, as she was scalping me, she was telling me about this guy that we work with. He works in, he works in another section. So if the woods catch on fire, they let us know and we meet them and work with them. It's called forestry. So they'll take a bulldozer and they'll dig a big circle around this fire, and we'll let this fire burn. But anything that goes over the dirt, we're responsible for. We got to watch that. Most of the time, a fire will burn, and when it gets to the dirt, it'll stop. It runs out of fuel, right? Doesn't have anything else to burn. Well, this guy, she's been cutting this boy's hair, I don't know, I can't even remember how long. So she's been cutting his hair. Well, there's a couple of spots in his head that I don't know when he was younger if something happened, and he doesn't really want them to show. So he won't let anybody cut his hair. Well, this lady gets really, really sick. Like, I don't know, it's years ago. And she said that she was cutting his hair from a hospital bed with a feeding tube on it. He said, I am not going anywhere else. I will meet you at Willis Knighton. He didn't, but she knew that she knew how to cut his hair, and he was comfortable with her because she knew his vulnerable spots, right? So there's probably people in this room that they know each other so well, I can call them because they know my vulnerable spots. Here's how I know how close I am to somebody. If it's midnight and I have buried Christine's car in the mud, and I can call them and say, hey, man, we got a problem. I need help right away. Not only is it midnight, right? But we've got to I need you to bring your car to where I'm at, and we got to get out of here. And they're not going to go, what were you doing? It's midnight. I got to go to work tomorrow. Hey, I'll be there in a minute. Or whatever. But that's hard to get that close, right? It just takes years. And the Lord has to do it. I've tried to force it before. That does not work. That is terrible. It's exhausting, right? But he washes their feet. And I'm going to tell you right now, I would have been just like all of them. I would have said the same thing. You ain't washing my feet, man. Hey, go ahead. I got in my pride, and I'd have said, you ain't washing my feet, bud. We're good. I understand. I honor you. Hey, we're good. But he told them, this is what he said. All right. When Jesus came to Simon Peter, Peter said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus replied, you don't understand now what I'm doing, but someday you will. No, Peter protested, right? That would have been me. No, you will never, ever wash my feet. I would have said something like that. Jesus said, unless I wash your feet, you don't belong to me. So I probably would have bent my wheel right there. Okay, well, maybe I do need you to wash my feet, right? Simon Peter said, then wash my hands and head as well, not just my feet. So he knew when he said this, maybe there's more to this. There's more to this than just this old horse trough and just a little feet washing. Maybe he's making me new. I want to be new, even though in my head, oh, I've already been born again. I don't need to be new. I know Monday morning's coming, and there's going to be somebody driving right on my tail, and I'm going to need to be new, right? Whoever invented rear view mirrors? I mean, if I could put a construction paper across that rear view, I'd probably be like, I'd be up here, not so down here. But I feel it. When they get really, really close, I can feel it. I don't know about y'all. Y'all don't get like that? Okay. Jesus replied, a person who has bathed all over does not need to wash except for the feet to be entirely clean. And you disciples are clean, but not all of you. For Jesus knew who was going to betray him. That is what he meant when he said, not all of you are clean. After washing their feet, he's put on his robe again, sat down and asked, do you understand what I was doing? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, because that's what I am. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. I've given you an example to follow. Do as I've done to you. So that's it. So he was showing us how to help each other. How when somebody says, hey, I've made you dinner, I'm coming your way, I'm like, the first thing I think is, this is gas money, this is their time, this is their groceries are expensive. Correct? So they just sacrificed 3 things really fast. And it's hard for me to receive. I'm sure it's really easy for y'all. It's hard for me. It's hard. I just don't do good receiving. I have to be forced to receive, which is bad. I'll give, but it's hard to receive. So the Lord has to force me into situations to receive. Because I understand work, you get a payment, right? If you ain't working, you ain't getting no payment, right? When somebody shows up to your house with food and you're not paying them, that's sacrifice. So that makes it hard. But that's what the body does for each other. That's what helps. So most of you didn't know, as you're driving to my house, I'm going, what can I give them? I'm going to give them something. I'll just give them something.
It reminds me last Sunday, I think during discipleship, Brett said, we're going to be called to be inconvenienced. We're going to be inconvenienced. And that's what that is, same thing.
Yeah. It is inconvenient to go and make somebody food. It is. 100%. And look, I live in the boonies. Most people are like, wow, we thought we were lost. No, we just live way out there. Right. Yeah. Welcome. Yep. So that was a sacrifice. But I can tell you what, I washed every dish that was brought to my house, and I put it in that kitchen. I don't know whose they are, but I put them in there. And everybody's food was great. I ate it. Me and my dad ate some yesterday, some more. But that's what everybody is given something. There's a story that sticks out to me, and it just wrecks me. This story wrecks me so bad. And I think about it. When I think about this, I think about this story. So I'm pretty sure this is a true story. So there's this little boy, and his sister was sick. Okay, sister was sick. Brothers and sisters fight. I don't know about me and my sisters. We used to fight, right? Because everybody's fighting for the favorite, right? And I'm the favorite. They know this, right, Dad? I'm the favorite. Everybody knows it. I'm the baby. I'm the favorite. So we fight because of that. Even I'm 40, we still fight. But it's good fight now. Like we're not trying to tie the phone cord around each other's neck, right? Thank God for cordless phones, right? Woo! Could have killed some kids. So, right? Dad came home early, thank God. Whew. This little boy had the same blood type as this sister. So she needs a blood transfusion, right? She needs blood. And they didn't have any. So they sat the little boy down. They said, hey, we want you to know what's going on. Your sister's sick, and she needs blood. And you're the only one that has it right now, readily available. He said, okay. What do I do? What do you want me to do? Or, what's going to happen? I want to know. Well, they're going to put a needle in your arm, and they're going to start taking blood, and they're going to give it to your sister. I don't like needles. Yeah, we understand. Nope, nobody does. But we just want you to know that she's sick enough that she could die. So this is a hard story. It's such a good story. So the little boy said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. So the sister gets over here, and he gets on this other side. They put the needle in his arm. This is a big machine that filters his blood going to her, right? So a little while goes by, they're doing the thing with the blood. And the little boy looks up to the nurse and he said, ma'am, when do I die? So he didn't even know that his body is replenishing blood. He had thought in his mind, I'm going to give my life for her. I mean, that just wrecks me. He's serving her. And it's a little child, I mean, they said the story's real. That story wrecks me because that's what Christ did for us. He sat in the chair and they were like, he's guilty as charged. That's what they said to me. He's guilty. And he said, I paid it. I paid it. I paid his debt. He did that for everybody. Sorry. This gets me deep because I've had a lot of debts to pay, And he sat right there for each of us. He said, I paid it. I'll do it. I'll give it up for them. I'll give it up for him. I'll give it up for her. I'll give it up. And that's not a message that's preached all the time. But it should be that he was willing to sit there and give it up. And for us, we should be the little boy. When do we die? I'm sure that sister made him so mad one day he wanted to knock her teeth out. Right? You know what I mean? You think they grinded on each other every once in a while? Man, you're getting on my nerves, right? The people that get on our nerves, we have to be willing to sit in the chair and ask, when do we die for them? So some gave some gave all. Sorry. That I heard that story probably 15 years ago, and I can never tell that story. I got one more. Yes, sir. I will.
I just saw this. Because that's why you were saying that, saying things like, most surely I say to you, a servant's not greater than his master, nor is he who think greater than he sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them.
Yeah.
That's both ends of, both sides. The saying, you're not good at receiving it well from a blessing, but
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Same thing is both sides. I just want to sorry to interrupt, but I just
No, that that is good because that's the part I don't think about. If I'm having to receive, I'm thinking. I remember when I first moved here. We were in a season which was good for the Lord. I didn't like it. I would get in the backyard and mow the grass and complain and whine. You ever done that? And to me, I'm like, oh, I'm just venting. No, I mean, yeah, you can vent, but you're just telling the Lord, I hate what you're doing. I hate you digging deep and making character and integrity in me. I hate it. I'm sick of this. But it's good. That's what he's doing. He's teaching you how it works. But there's something inside of, I think, every human that wants to be self-sufficient, right? Essentially. Um, then you're robbed of the people you need. And you would never know that you needed them unless you were in need. You don't have no part. You can't, if I can't wash your feet and you be vulnerable with me and we discuss things, it's not, he's only going to get on the outer court, right? He's not coming in the tabernacle, right? He's just going to be out here. Hey, how you doing? It's good to see. Good to see. Everything is great. Yeah, we're good. Everything, life is perfect. It's great. I mess with people sometimes. They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, terrible. And I keep walking. And I see if they turn around, That's just our normal. Hey, how you doing? Everything's great. Life is great, My wife tried to drown me the other day. Good to see you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just keep walking and just see what people say, I work with a guy and I work with a lot of guys, and I really respect this guy. Like, he's salt of the earth. He's been through a lot, and he told me this story the other day. And it's like one of them times where you're sitting there and time stands still. And you're like, man, the Lord's really fixing to speak to me and challenge me. And I knew it was coming. I could tell. We're sitting in this fire truck, and I'm listening to him talk. And he said, John, I work in construction when I'm not here at this fire station. And I'm always in these, furniture stores or construction place, Home Depot, Lowe's. I'm always in these places getting materials. And I kept running across this one contractor, And contractors, they're all over the place. Hey, how you doing? And the guy told me, not so good, man. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just, I'm getting a box of nails. I'll just listen to him for a few minutes, So he listened to him for 10 minutes. And the guy starts getting emotional because his wife left him, took the kids, bad deal. And he was just talking to him, just having a conversation with him. An hour goes by. An hour, if you're doing construction or you're doing jobs, that's a long time, man. People are calling you. Hey, man, where you at, dude? We send you get a box of nails. Where'd you go? Alaska? Hey, man, what's going on, 2 hours goes by. This guy's still talking. He's just listening to him. 3 hours goes by. And he just listened to him. So he was like, well, I'll just have to make that time up, And he went on about his day. The next day, he sees him again in the store. He's probably thinking, don't hide in the Walmart aisle, And the guy goes, hey, it's good to see you, man. Hey, I wanted to let you know, the day before that I seen you, I was going to kill myself. And he said, I'm not like that normally, but you got to understand, like, I lost my family. Like, I lost my whole family the thing that I had kind of clung to, that was the Lord. I mean, it was my security, and I lost it. So he said, John, I don't really know, like, if the Lord was using me, but I can just tell you that was interesting. And I was like, dude, you were the Lord. What are you talking about? And you didn't even know it, right? He didn't even know it. On accident, he was doing what the Lord wanted him to do. He was just trying to get a box of nails. It'd be like Jordan going to Home Depot today. I got to get some sheetrock, and just running across some random guy. That random guy could have plans. He could have plans when he gets home. So it is important to me, I think, just to lean into each other. It is easy to say, hey, everything is good to see you. One thing I like about us is we fellowship. That fellowship's tight too. You can hear it when you're walking in the front door. It's funny that we have to sit down, okay? Because everybody is so that's great. That's really good. And I play around with sit down, but that is really good. There are places when they exit, there is no talking. One in, one out. When I lived in Minnesota, I was driving to church, and it was a bigger church. And, my friend was the pastor there, and he would always stand at the back and shake everybody's hand, Hey, how you doing? And there would be a line formed. It was kind of funny. I was like, golly, he's serious. And he'd shake everybody's hand, hug everybody's neck. That's who that guy was. And one day, that one day when I drove back home, the Lord said, John, there was two, I don't remember how many it was, that came into this church. They were hurting really bad, and they left hurting too. And I was like, that happens. And that's hard, To me, I think about that stuff, But if the Lord doesn't show me who they are, I can't, there's nothing I can do. I don't have a Superman. I'm not Jesus, I don't know about y'all, but I think about that, and that stuff will get me and torment me. Oh my gosh, but I think if we're willing to be inconvenienced, just spend a few awkward seconds. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Right? We did it. I think we did great last week. Hey, what's going on? We know people's name that come here every once in a while. Thank God, maybe you'll come 3 times a year. I think that's wonderful because they're looking for them arms, right? Some people have been swallowed up by a jail, right? It was awkward going to church after that experience. I'll tell you, because I was like, gosh, they're going to remember the news. Oh, there's that guy just got out of jail. He was on the news. Biggest drug bust this year. Look at him. And I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? Welcome. Hey, guys, I don't have no more weed. Sorry, ran out. Right? So it's kind of awkward. They're nervous. They are. I was nervous. I had to pull my pants up. Somebody told me, pull your pants up. And I was like, oh, okay. That was a little gangster, man. I didn't know how to come to church. I didn't know what to do. It was awkward. But when that music would cut on, every time I was in church, I would weep. I would just weep and cry and cry and cry. The first time I walked into church, I'll end with this. After that experience, I said, not the first time, like the 10th time, and I went to Shreveport Community Church. These guys were like, we're going to church tomorrow, and you're coming. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, I'll go. As soon as I walked through the doors, the Lord spoke to me, clear as day, welcome home. He didn't say, you sinner, selling all them drugs that city, you sinner. He said, welcome home. And I just folded. All my walls, all that pain, just started to fall apart, right? Have you ever just become undone? You're like, oh, I need to go find a room to go cry. You know? Because they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? You lose your dog? No, I'm just undone. Yep. And I was undone. And the music hadn't started and the preacher wasn't up there. And I was done. I was just wanting to surrender. Man, I'm done. If you're this good and life's this hard, I am done. I need you. Let me bypass all the other rules and programs and formulas. Let me get right to the man. That's what I want, is the man. Okay, that's all I got. Y'all got anything else?
Can you pray for our temporary niece? She's in jail right now, some situation, and she needs Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. What's her name? Awesome. Okay. I mean, not awesome. Sorry. I love these awkward moments. I like waiting. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I'll pray for us. Lord, thank you for being hot on our tail, for letting the hound dogs of heaven chase us down and bark about your goodness and your mercy. And thank you for allowing hard times to make us get down and surrender to you. Thank you for showing us that sacrifice is a wonderful thing as you lead us to walk that road, that narrow road. For it shows us who Christ is and who we're supposed to be. Thank you that you can do anything. And Lord, we thank you for Brooke, that you love her enough to put her in a safe place. 23 hours a day. All she has is a Bible and a bed and a cellmate. You gave me a cellmate named Abraham. And I believe it was Abraham from the Bible. Would you give her a Deborah? Would you give her a woman that has enough intuition to listen to the Holy Spirit and talk to Brooke? I remember laying on the jail cell floor and just crying. It's nasty, stinky. I pray for just surrender to happen. Brokenness. Let brokenness happen. So she can hear you. The most important thing for her is to hear you. If she can hear you, no matter what the outside looks like, you will lead her into the life that you desire for her to live. No matter if things get wonderful or tough, she has you. You've overcome it all. And I pray for the family, the ones that hurt the most, the ones that it affects the most. Help them to forgive Brooke. Help them to look inward and see how they could encourage her, pray for her, and walk with her. That's what she needs the most. And we just pray as a body together for that family, for Jennifer, for Mickey, everybody that's involved. You're at work. Even though things look bad, you are at work. And that's hard to see, but help us to unlearn that when things are bad, you're not working. Help us to unlearn that. You work in the dark. And we are who we are because of the dark. We know the light because we lived in the dark. So we bless everybody that's in this place with your word, with your encouragement, with your love. May you hug these people, Lord. And may they freely give their life to you. May they just make room for your voice, to hear you. We love you. Amen.